ओम वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। ओम श्री महागणपतये नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम श्री मेधा दक्षिणामूर्ति स्वामिने नमः। ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। ओम भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्ठनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। So namaste once again everyone.
Namaste.
So the 10th mantra will chant. Purusha evedam vishwam karma
Purusha evedam vishwam karma
tapo brahma paramritam
तपो ब्रह्म परामृतम्
एतद्यो वेद निहितं गुहायाम्
एतद्यो वेदनिहितं गुहायाम्
सो विद्या ग्रन्थिं विकिरतीह सौम्य
So
सो
विकिरतीह
सौम्या।
So we will also read the rest of the Bhashyam portion which we were discussing towards the end of last class. It doesn't make any difference, it seems, wearing, not wearing. No, actually it does make a slight difference. Okay. Kim punah idam vishwam
किं पुनः इदं विश्वम्
ityuchyate
इत्युच्यते
कर्म अग्निहोत्रादिलक्षणम्
कर्म अग्निहोत्रादिलक्षणम्
तपः ज्ञानम्
तपः ज्ञानम्
तत्कृतं फलमन्यत्
तत्कृतं फलमन्यत्
एतावद्धि इदं सर्वम् तच्चैतत् ब्रह्मणः कार्यम् तस्मात् सर्वं ब्रह्म परामृतं परममृतम् अहमेवेति यो वेद निहितं स्थितं गुहायां हृदि सर्वप्राणिनां सह एवं विज्ञानात्
सव
एवं
विज्ञानात्
avidya granthim
अविद्याग्रन्थिं
granthim iva
ग्रन्थिं
dridi bhutam
दृढीभूताम्
avidya
अविद्यावासानाम्
vikirate
विकिरति
vikshipate
विक्षिपति
nashayate
नाशयति
iha जीवन्नेva
इह जीवन्नेव
namritah san
न मृतः सन्
he somya
ये सौम्य
priyadarshana.
प्रियदर्शन
Very good. So, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. We hear this before every class, isn't it? And how brilliantly and poetically Adi Shankara has surmised or summarized what we discussed in the last two classes in the context of this 10th mantra. He combines both the prakriyas we discussed, Badayam Samana Adhikaranyam and Aikya Samana Adhikaranyam, to bring out the core message of the Upanishads in just one simple sentence. That is the brilliance of Bhashyakara. And as we were discussing, almost all other philosophies other than Advaitam do not accept the mithyatvam of the world. And as I said, Visishta Advaitam agrees with the first part, Brahma Satyam, but they refute Jagan Mithyatvam. And therefore, naturally, almost all students find it difficult to swallow this Jagan Mithyatvam in the initial stages. And therefore, I thought a brief discussion on this issue will not be out of place before we proceed further. And when we use terminologies like Satyam, Mithya, etc., first of all, we must first understand the meaning of these terminologies, because many times what happens, the words being the same, different people will understand them differently. For example, the word Satyam can be translated as truth, or as reality, or as existence. And therefore, when we say Brahma Satyam, we should understand what is meant by the word Satyam in this context. And for that, we have to refer back to the basics which we learnt in Tattva Bodha. There, if you recall, the student asks, Atma Tarhi Kaha. What is that Atma or Brahman? And the teacher answers, Satchidananda Swarupaha. Atma is of the nature of Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Then the student continues and asks, Sat Kim? What is meant by Sat? The teacher says, Kalatraye api tishtati iti Sat. That which exists in all three periods of time, past, present, and future, that is called Sat. So we get the definition of Sat or Satyam as that which exists in all three periods of time. And all those things which do not fulfill this condition is what? Asat. Because they exist only in one or two periods of time and not all three. And another word we use for all those asat things, which are mithya, which is mithya. Asat means mithya. That is another word we use. Thus, we have two terms, satyam and mithya. So, first we will take up mithya for examination. What are the things which do not exist in all periods of time? Let us take the example of the dream world. Does the dream world exist in the past, present, and future? We know the answer. The moment we wake up, the dream world is gone. So it exists only in the past when we are asleep. When we wake up, which is present, that world is resolved. So we can say Swapna Prapancha is Asat or Mithya. I hope you are following the line of argument. Now let us examine the Satyatvam or otherwise of the world we live in. Does it meet the condition of Trikale api tishtati? Does the world exist in all three periods of time? Our immediate response would be what? Yes, the world existed before, in the past, is existing now, and will continue to exist even when we are gone. So the world is Satyam. This is the conclusion each one of us will come to if we are asked, does the world exist in all three periods of time? And this is the fallacious conclusion. Without undertaking an in-depth examination of what the world means, what the world is. So this conclusion is a superficial conclusion that we come to. And in order to come to the correct conclusion, we need to go little deeper into this subject. There is a saying which I am sure many of you would have already heard, which is the only thing constant in the world is change. Change is the changeless constant, is what they say. Isn't it? I'm sure all of you must have heard this. So when we say the world existed in the past and is existing at present, are we talking about the same world? The answer is no. We are talking about different worlds, a changed world at present. Every moment, everything in this world is changing, and many of them irretrievably changing. Just take one example of our own body. Superficially, between yesterday and today, our body may appear to be the same. But we know, and science tells us that every moment millions of cells in our body are getting destroyed and millions of new cells are born. Even our skin undergoes what is called desquamation. It is said that an average adult sheds tens of thousands of microscopic skin cells every minute, totaling to millions of or billions of skin cells per day, and which is what allows the skins to continuously renew itself. And therefore, even our living body is not existing in all three periods of time. What to talk of a dead body? Isn't it? And we can apply this logic to every living and non-living being in the world. And we will find that none of them meet the condition of Trikale api tishtati, which is the definition of Satyam. Everything is changing. Growth itself means change, isn't it? Sadvikara is what? And every living being goes through these Sadvikaras. What was a plant a few weeks ago is no longer a plant. It has become a tree. What was a tree for 100 years is no longer that because it is dead. The roots have all become, dead. So therefore, whatever we observe, even though all those may appear to be the same, like it was yesterday, day before yesterday, but intrinsically everything is changing in the universe, constantly changing. Even the position of the sun is not the same between yesterday and today, isn't it? That is why we have got this Dakshinayanam and Uttarayanam business. Therefore, everything is changing, including our body, mind, sense complex. And therefore, the universe cannot be classified as Satyam. So what is the alternative? Therefore, it is Asat or Mithya. This is one way we can understand the Mithyatvam of the universe. And there is another logical manner by which we can understand the Mithyatvam of the universe. Let us apply this logic to the example of the sunlight and rainbow, which we discussed in the last class. Now, between the light of the sun and rainbow, relatively speaking, which is Satyam and which is Mithya? Clearly, we will say rainbow is Mithya because it appears only in the present. There was no rainbow in the past, and when the rain drops or the rain stops or the moisture in the atmosphere goes away, there will be no rainbow in the future. And therefore, a rainbow is Mithya, just an appearance in the present for a limited period of time. There, nobody can dispute this conclusion. Right? But between the sunlight and rainbow, relatively speaking, we can say that the sunlight is Satyam because sunlight existed yesterday, sunlight is there today, and it will be there tomorrow also. In relation to the rainbow, sunlight is Satyam and the rainbow is Mithya. This conclusion will not be out of place, isn't it? Therefore, when the light rays of the sun pass through the prism of raindrops, listen carefully. When the light rays of the sun pass through the prism of raindrops, a projection of a mithya rainbow takes place, which appears for some time and then disappears. Similarly, when the light of consciousness, Atma Jyoti, passes through the prism of our five sense organs, the projection of the Mithya Jagat takes place, which also appears for some time and then disappears. So in both cases, that is the existence of the rainbow and also the existence of the Jagat, both cases, they are dependent, existence is dependent upon a light and the prism mechanism. In the case of a rainbow, it is the sunlight and the prism in the form of raindrops or moisture in the air. In the case of Jagat, it is Atma Jyoti, which goes out through our five sense organs, and then there is this appearance of this entire world. And therefore, what is the corollary? Even if the light is there, but if there is no prism mechanism available, there will be no appearance of the rainbow as well as the Jagat. So both the rainbow, appearance of the rainbow and appearance of the Jagat have a dependence on the light. In the case of the Jagat, it is the Atma Jyoti, the light of consciousness. And that is why we say both are mithya, they both have got dependent existence. You must remember this example. And from this example, we get another conclusion. Mithya means that which appears for a temporary period of time and which has dependent existence. Now, if we are children, we will be enthralled by the Mithya rainbow. And when the rainbow disappears, we will cry. But as adults, we know the true nature of the rainbow, its dependent existence. And when it disappears, we will not be emotionally disturbed. Now, this is something which I am leaving all of you with to think about. When we say Brahman or Atma is the Adhishtanam of the world, when we say the world exists because of me, the self, the Atma, this is how we need to understand. It is me, my Atma, my light of consciousness, which when it is passing through all the five sense organs, is projecting this world. Shut down all the sense organs, there is no world. I alone am the reality. I alone am the Satyam. Therefore, now, how can we define Mithya? The first aspect of Mithya is whatever is not constant but keeps changing is Mithya. That means that which does not exist in all three periods of time is mithya. Second aspect is mithya means an appearance for a limited period of time. The third aspect is mithya object has neither existence of its own nor substantiality. And everything else which does not fit into this description of mithya is satyam. Okay? That's a fair conclusion. And in the light of the above, if we try to find satyam object in the world, we will miserably fail because we cannot find even a single entity which will satisfy the condition of trikale api tishtati. And therefore, we may actually come to the conclusion that there is no such object which is satyam in the entire prapancha. And this conclusion will not be wrong also. Because Vedanta also says the same thing. It says you cannot find any object which is satyam. Everything in this universe is mithya. Satyam cannot be objectified. Does it mean that Satyam does not exist? That will be a wrong conclusion because the whole discussion started with the definition of Satyam, isn't it? As that which exists in all three periods of time. And therefore, there is something which is Satyam, which exists, but we are unable to find, which we are unable to perceive. And we cannot find it also without the help of the scriptures as revealed by a qualified guru. That is what we saw in Tattva Bodha. And the scriptures say that Satyam is you, the self, Atma or Brahman. You means not your body, mind, sense complex, but your inner self, your real self. That is the only Satya Vastu in the whole universe. And you are of the nature of pure existence, pure consciousness, and limitlessness. You are Sat Chit Ananda Swarupaha. Or as Taittiriya Upanishad defines, you are Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. You are not any object, but you are the very subject, the Sakshi Chaitanyam, the witness of the entire Mithya universe. You are the only entity which exists in all three periods of time. And also in all three states of existence, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti avasthas. And when this is told to us, imagine the boost that it gives to our morale, isn't it? I am the only reality in this world. And the whole world is a mere appearance. And therefore, just like a child enjoys the rainbow, even I also enjoy a rainbow. Similarly, I enjoy the world. I will cherish my experiences. I will value my transactions with the world. But I will have no regret if the world disappears tomorrow because I am Shashvatam. I am not going to disappear. I always was, I am, and I always will be. That is my reality. I am the only Satyam. And I can prove this by just the example of my deep sleep state and my dream world. When I am in deep sleep, the entire world is as though resolved for me. All my sense organs are resolved. My antakaranam is resolved. And I have a sound and peaceful sleep. Then when I wake up the next morning, afresh, I am aware that I had a very sound sleep and I have no knowledge of anything else. That means what? In and through the time my body, mind, sense complex was at rest or sleeping, I was awake and witnessing their sound sleep. And when I have dreams, when I wake up, I am able to recall some of the scenes from the dream. And therefore, unless I was a witness to the deep sleep state, I cannot wake up next morning and say, I had a deep, sound sleep. I was aware of that sound sleep when the entire prapancha was non-existent for me. Similarly, I was witnessing the dream. Without that, without being a witness, how can I recall the dream experiences? And therefore, when the Shruti says, I am the Sakshi Chaitanyam, the witness consciousness, I have no doubt about that statement. And that is how we have to understand the term Satyam Mithya. And that is how I have to understand that I alone am Satyam, everything else is Mithya, this world is Mithya. So this entire thing, what I have told you in the last about 32 minutes or 30 minutes, you must actually engrave it in your chit, in your buddhi, and keep on, what I would say, bringing it from, retrieving it from memory and dwell upon this knowledge. That is what is nididhyasa. And if still anyone has got any doubt, we can discuss it further during satsang. Okay?
Extremely beautiful, Guruji. Sorry, I'm interrupting.
No, it's okay. No, because I felt that before we proceed further with the Upanishad learning, this particular aspect has got to be totally clear to all of us. Because it is not very easy to accept the mithyatvam of the world when day in and day out we are transacting with the world. For us, every relative is a reality. My son, my wife, my relatives, my house, everything is a reality. How do we understand that when Upanishad says everything is mithya? When Adi Shankara says Jagan mithya, how do we understand? So I thought that before we proceed further, let us actually put this to bed. So that is why, but I'm not very sure. Only once I've explained, it will require, what say, like a cow and all, where they eat grass, then bring it out, and then what they call mastication or something, some word they use,
Chewing the cud.
Chewing the cud. Yeah, chewing the cud. So this constantly we have to chew this information, this knowledge. That is what is Nididhyasanam all about. Okay. Now, let us come to the Bhashyam. Come back to the Bhashyam. So, Bhashyakara is interpreting the words Purusha Evedam Vishwam in the mantra, and said that there is nothing called the world or the universe other than this Purusha Brahman. And therefore, he drew the conclusion that the answer to the question of the student Shaunaka in the mantra 1.1.3, Kasminnu bhagavo vijñate sarvamidam vijñatam bhavati. What is it that knowing which everything else is known is Brahmajnanam vijñate sarvamidam vijñanam bhavati. Since there is nothing other than Brahman, no world other than Brahman, therefore, by knowing Brahman, everything else is as well known. And the way we have to understand is that since Brahman is the essence of everything in the universe, by knowing Brahman, the essence of everything is as well known. That is how we have to understand. Now, this statement also has got a problem. What is the problem? This statement could lead to a misunderstanding that, okay, Brahman is there, world is also there, both are real, and the essence of the world is Brahman. I have no problem. Okay, you say essence of the world is Brahman. I agree, essence of the world is Brahman. But Brahman is there and the world is also there, isn't it? Now you say essence of the pot is clay, right? I agree, essence of pot is clay. But I perceive a pot, I also perceive clay. So both exist. What is the problem? I will say that there was a big lump of clay, out of which the potter, he took out some amount and he made a pot out of it. So pot came into existence. Pot is dependent existence on the clay, but clay is still there and pot is also there. It is existing. This interpretation is very much possible because this is how we tend to understand the clay and pot example, or for that matter, even the golden ornament example. Since we are able to clearly perceive the clay and the pot separately, or the gold and ornaments as separate objects, we will tend to extend that logic of these examples to understand that Brahman is there, world is there, and both are separate objects. And since Shruti says Brahman is the absolute reality, and since Brahman inheres the world also is absolute reality. That is our logical conclusion. Therefore, there are two separate entities, Brahman and the world. This type of misunderstanding is very much possible. And therefore, Bhashyakara is emphasizing, no, don't come to any such conclusion. And says that when the mantra says Purusham Evedam Vishwam, it should be understood as there is nothing else other than the Purusha Brahman. And therefore, when that Purusha is known as Sarvakaranam, then the final understanding should be Purusha eva idam Vishwam na anyad asti, highlighting the fact that Purusha or Brahman alone is there and there is nothing else. The world is really not there. Other than Purusha, there is nothing else. What we perceive as the world is only an appearance. It has no substantiality. It appears to exist by borrowing existence from Brahman. It is as unreal as the rainbow in the sunlight rainbow example that I gave. Only when it is understood in this manner that Advaitam can be sustained. Otherwise, Purusha or Brahman will be the reality, one reality, and the world will be another reality, and Visishta Advaitam will step in. And that is why, if this is not understood properly, for most people, Visishta Advaitam is very, very appealing rather. Without understanding what the Upanishad wants to say, but through the way I explained to you, it is very, very reasonable for everybody to come to the understanding that both Brahman is real and the Jagat is also real. And that is where Advaitam, is not very easy to understand. We'll see later. In fact, Kathopanishad, it says, to understand this is like walking on a sword, edge of a sword. Or we'll come all to all that later. Anyhow. So this is a very important aspect of Advaita Vedanta, because if we give reality to the world consisting of objects and people, their appearance and disappearance, what will happen? It will disturb us emotionally, isn't it? When somebody dies, we will be emotionally disturbed. When somebody is born, we will be emotionally elated. And therefore, there will become a mix-up between the two anandas, the permanent ananda and the temporary ananda. We will not understand that all these appearances and disappearances are like the bubbles which form in rainwater during rains. Adi Shankara says in Atma Bodha, Upadane khiladhare jaganti parameshware sarvastiti layan yanti budbudani varini. He says the creation and destruction of the lokas, the 14 worlds, is like budbudani varini. He compares the Atma to the ocean, the huge reservoir of water. And every loka is like a bubble, because in front of the infinite, even the galaxies are like bubbles only. By themselves, the lokas may be very vast, but in front of the Chaitanyam, all these galaxies are like budbudani iva, like bubbles. A star is born. It is like a bubble formation. Another star is gone. There is a black hole. One bubble gone. Just as by their arrival and departure, the bubbles do not disturb the water in the ocean. Similarly, the arrival and departure of people, one person dying, one person going away, or the loss of anything on the earth, loss of my entire share portfolio, is of no consequence. Even if the entire world disappears, it is like the disappearance of a bubble. And therefore, bubbles of different sizes will be born in the bodies of water when it rains. And after a few movements, they will disappear. And while we may enjoy the formation of the bubbles and even their travel in the rainwater for a short distance, we will not feel sad or unhappy when the bubbles disappear. We will not cry over the disappearance of the bubbles because we know that in relation to the vast body of water, the bubbles are mithya. Mere appearance of water in different shapes and sizes, and that the inner essence is water only of all the bubbles. And with this understanding, our focus will shift to the new bubbles that are born. And therefore, we will rejoice only the formation of bubbles, but will not be drowned in sorrow when the bubbles disappear. In a manner of speaking, we can say that we will enjoy perpetual ananda in relation to the bubbles, which is nothing but moksha. This is all essence of Vedanta. This is what is moksha is all about. Once you understand this, you can convert even the temporary ananda, the experiential ananda, into a perpetual ananda. And that is what is moksha is all about. So this is how we have to understand. And that is why Bhashyakara is insisting that please understand that when we say Brahma Satyam, there is nothing else other than Brahman. There is no world. Jagan is mithya, temporary appearance. No reality of its own. So that is one topic. Then Bhashyakara entered the second quarter of the mantra, or enters the second quarter of mantra, Karma Tapo Brahma Paramritam. And he said that, actually we have seen this portion said, in the final analysis, this world consists only of three things: karma, voluntary or involuntary actions of both Vaidika and Laukika, secular and sacred actions, tapaha upasana, and tat phalam, the phalam of both karma and upasana, which is the 14 lokas. So all the 14 lokas are nothing but the results of karma and upasana. If only Jiva Rashis were not there, and more particularly if their karma and upasana phalam were not there, Bhagavan has no reason to create all the 14 worlds, which are meant only to exhaust those karma and upasana phalam. In fact, Bhagavan will have no basis for creation of these worlds. Isn't it? Because Bhagavan is not saying, okay, I am sitting idle, let me create the world. There has got to be some basis, some logical basis for creation of the world. And therefore the mantra says, the entire world consists only of karma and upasana. And Bhashyakara added tat kritam phalam, the result of all these karmas and all these upasanas. And he concluded by saying, Etavat idam sarvam, the world or universe, which is referred to as Vishwam, is nothing but these three only: karma, upasana, and their results. Now, after all this discussion, Bhashyakara takes up the word Brahma in the mantra and says, Tatcha etat brahmanah karyam. Tasmat sarvam brahma. So Tachaitat is there in the Moolam. Tacha etat. That means, sorry, Tachaitat is there not in the Moolam. Brahma is in the Moolam. And Bhashyakara translated as Tachaitat, which is Tacha etat. Tacha etat means and this universe, which has been defined as karma upasana phalani cha, such an universe is Brahmana Karyam. They are the product of Brahma as revealed in the previous 7 or 8 mantras. We have seen everything. Brahma Karyam and everything else is, sorry, Brahma is Karanam, everything else is Karyam, Purusha Karyam, everything else is Karanam, Purusha is Karanam, everything else is Karyam. So Tasmat Sarvam Brahma Eva Eva. Therefore, everything is Brahman. And being the product of Brahman, everything is Brahman alone. All ornaments are gold because they are product of gold. Similarly, Jagat Sarvam Brahma, Brahma Karyatva, Karyatvat. Tasmat Sarvam Brahma. Therefore, everything is Brahman. The whole world is Brahman. And what type of Brahman? As I said, the word Brahman is in the Moolam, is described as Paramritam. So this Brahma is Paramritam. Bhashyakara explains it as Param Amritam. Amritam means immortal, eternal. Param means absolutely. So Param Amritam means absolutely eternal. Now why is this Upanishad says it is absolutely eternal? Is there something relatively eternal also? I'm sure we all know the answer. We do have relative eternity. Swarga Loka is often said to be eternal. Brahma Loka is said to be eternal. When Swarga and Brahma Loka are said to be eternal, it means relative eternity because they will exist throughout the present creation, present kalpa. At the end of the kalpa, during Mahapralayam, even they will go away. They will also become unmanifest. Therefore, they are called apara amritatvam or apekshika amritatvam. Brahman is param amritam. That means adhyantika amritatvam, absolutely eternal. That is what is the meaning of Brahma. Now Bhashyakara goes to the second line of the mantra. Etatyo veda nihitam guhayam so vidya granthim vikaratiha iva. And he completes the bhashyam of this portion in one sentence. He says, Paramamritam Brahma eveti. Paramamritam aham eveti yo veda nihitam stitam guhayam hridi sarva praninam saha evam vigyanat avidya grantim iva dhriti bhutam avidya vasana vikirati vikshipati nashayati iha jivan neva namritaha san. This we just now read at the beginning of the class. So this whole sentence should be read starting from Param Amrita, which was the explanation of Paramritam in the first sentence of the mantra. Then only the meaning will be clear. And in the second half, the Upanishad says this Brahman, this pure existence, has to be recognized only in one's own Hridayam as the ever evident consciousness. You can experience Sagunam Brahma outside as the existence associated with Nama Rupa. When I am experiencing the clock, I am experiencing the easiness along with the clock. And the clock is also Brahman, Sagunam Brahman, Sopadikam Brahma, Nama Rupa Sahitam Brahman. But if you want to recognize the pure Nirgunam, Nirupadikam, Nama Rupa Rahitam Brahman, don't look outside, because pure existence is not a Indriya Vishaya. It is what? Ashabdam, Arupam, Asparsham, Arasam, Agandham, etc. Therefore, how do I recognize pure Brahman? It is aprameyam. It is unfathomable. But thank God, it is swaprakasham, self-evident. It is available as the consciousness. And it is available as what of consciousness? I have earlier told you Swami Paramathanandaji's definition. Not a part or product or property of the body, etc. You must memorize that definition, and it should be on your fingertips. One should know that Brahman as Aham. Of course, this is Bhashyakara's addition. Mantra doesn't say that. Mantra only says that it should be recognized in the Hridayam, but Bhashyakara clarifies that it should be recognized as Aham, I, the real I, Atma Chaitanyam. Therefore, he says, Parama Amritam Aham Eva Iti. Parama Amritam, the absolute eternal Brahman, Aham Eva, I alone am, Iti, in this manner, Yaha Veda, the one who knows, the one who recognizes. And where is it recognized? Nihitam Stitam Guhayam Hridi Sarva Praninam. Nihitam is in the Moolam is equal to Sthitam. Sthitam means residing, present, located, indwelling. And Guhayam means Hridi Sarva Pranina. And we saw earlier the word Guha literally means a cave. And in the Shastra, this refers to the cave of the heart. It is our own Hridaya Guha. And Hridaya refers to Antakaranam, the mind. The Vachyartha of Hridaya is the physical heart. The Lakshyartha of the word Hridaya is the mind. All this we have seen earlier. And where is this Hridaya Guha to be found? He says, Sarva Praninam, in the mind of every living being, which includes yourself. That part is important. Because Pujya Swamiji used to say, whenever one says all, Sarva, generally one will tend to exclude oneself. Like if one says all the fools, in his mind he will think, oh, that excludes me because I am not a fool. So here, when it is said Sarva Praninam, it includes ourselves also, oneself also. And when the very same Paramatma is obtaining in the mind, it is called Jivatma. Its name is Jivatma. And therefore, Jivatma Rupena, Hridi Stitam, Tvam Pada Lakshyartha Rupena, Sakshi Chaitanya Rupena, original consciousness Rupena Sthitam, Yaha Veda, the one who knows. Now there may be a doubt. We have said earlier that Brahman is Sadrupaha, that is pure existence. But here we are saying something different. We are saying Brahman is to be discovered as consciousness, which is correct. Existence or consciousness. That may be, there will be a doubt. So the answer is both are correct. And we will be going into the details in the following sections. How the very same Sat is obtaining in the mind as Chit. And all these details of Chit we will get in the next section. And we will see more tomorrow. Sorry, in the next class. Because time is up. I don't feel like stopping, but then I don't want to detain you for longer. We'll continue in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Dhanyavada hai everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
very
you,
much.
Varun Guruji. Namaskaram.
Namaskaram. Hari Om. Thank you.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram, Guruji. Namaskaram. Thank you, Guruji.
Namaskaram. So,
Thank you.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದः ಮಹೋದಯ.
Dhanyavada hai. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
I'm glad to have joined a very important session
Yes,
today.
you are
Absolutely
right
fascinating.
time. Bhagavan has sent you for this class.
Yes, it's absolutely fascinating. Thank you.
It's unfathomable.
Yeah.
Can I request that this, what you explained, can be repeated in the next class for a few minutes?
Listen to you. Listen to my
I
video.
will listen. Yes, we will listen to the YouTube.
Yes, listen to it. But I will start the class with this summarizing what I explained. Summarizing what I explained, because this is what, as I said, any amount of repetition is not enough. It has to go and sit in our mind, in our brain, that this is what the Upanishads is.
See,
Sorry?
what happens is, anytime a good or bad happens, you ascribe it to yourself, your efforts. And when bad happens, you ascribe it to the God's efforts, God's decision.
Yeah.
Good is yours, bad is others.
Others, yeah. That's true.
So
And
that has to be understood very clearly.
um,
Good or bad is not in
Everything
your
is,
hands, it's predetermined, predestined.
yes. Anyhow,
to shut
the questions are
body,
there.
body, mind, sense.
Thank you very much, Guruji, for the beautiful account.
Thank you very much, Guruji. Thank you.
Even words are
Fascinating.
So many disturbances there. I can't hear what who is saying. So one at a time, please. Yes. So who wants to speak? No hands are gone up. Otherwise, I could have called the hands. Krishnaji, you want to say something?
No, it was all just fascinating. I had to
Yeah.
say that this, I have to make effort to shut this body, mind, sense complex
Yes.
to realize
Not
me.
only you, all of us.
I mean, I'm experiencing, immediately. So I'm
Yeah.
going through a very,
Yeah,
very,
bad
very
patch.
difficult phase. So this is something which is lightening me up, and yeah, but then like it also appears to me like a dream world.
It is not
Tomorrow when
easy.
Tomorrow when I
Krishnaji, it is
wake
not
up
easy.
again, the same
Yes,
thought is
yes,
going to
yes,
come to me.
yes. It will happen. Well, if you have understood everything and realized everything today, you have got moksha. That means you are Jivan Mukta. So that is not the case, isn't it? So it will
Yes.
happen every day. It will happen. So it has to continue. But what is important is at any time we get that emotional disturbance, we recall this knowledge, it will actually lessen that disturbance to some extent rather.
Exactly.
And slowly, we have to overcome that. That
Exactly.
is how we have to do it. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hari Om, Hari Om. Thank you. Yes, any other comment or question, doubt?
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste.
No doubts or comments. It's it's been a wonderful analogy to explain such a deep wisdom and knowledge. It's been wonderful listening to it. It's just as you said, it has to be mulled every day, every moment till you internalize it, and very, very beautifully explained. And if even a small portion of today's class, if it is internalized, it will be life will be transformed.
Yeah.
My mind has comes up always with monkey questions. Mind being a monkey, it always comes up with monkey questions. But I'll keep them for until I listen to more because all this is fine. But anyway, I'll not even voice my questions for today because I don't want to come out of the reverie of the beauty of the class and. It's bad. Thank you very much.
No problem. Anytime. Okay.
Thank you.
Hari Om.
Pranam.
Pranam. Hari Om. So
Thank you, Guruji.
thank you, Hari Om. Thank you. So can we close the class? Yes, I think so. Let me also go. May I have my dinner. See you all next week, next Monday. Hari Om.
Good night.
Hari Om Guruji. Thank you. Thank you, Guruji.